Not
Live.
live.
Yes, we are in live.
Jai Hind, friends. Today is a real day of celebration for all the free citizens of India. On today's date, 77 years back, Indian National Army, the army made of Indians who fought for the Indian freedom, won the battle in Moirang and hoisted the tricolour for the first time on the Indian soil. So today we are here in continuation with our Netaji Memorial series, and on this fourth session of our Netaji Memorial series, we welcome Sri Abhijit Roy to tell us about the importance of Moirang Day in Indian history and why do we should celebrate this day as a national day of celebration and how much we are ignored about our real history. Jai Hind, uncle, and
Yeah.
we welcome you in our in this session of Vartalap.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Uncle, please have a glass of water. No problem. We are waiting. On 14th April 1944, the Azad Hind Fauj captured Moirang in Manipur and half of Nagaland from the clutches of the British Empire. It was a fierce battle, one of the most difficult ever faced by the British forces in India, as admitted by British themselves in latter days. Colonel Shaukat Ali Malik of the Azad Hind Fauj marched into Moirang along with his soldiers and hoisted a national flag on 14th April 1944. And as Abhijit uncle is here, so now I will request uncle to elaborate the historical event uh, with us and share the importance of today's date in Indian history.
Jai Hind, Anushwa, Jai Hind, Adreja,
Jai
and Jai
Hind.
Hind viewers.
Jai Hind.
Today actually is a historic day as far as the Indian independence movement is concerned. The struggle for Azadi, struggle for independence since 1857 till 1944, I should say. And the Battle of Moirang was the last battle of freedom towards creating a new India. These are not my words. These are the words by the British historians. These are the words of the administration and the members of the Army Museum in London who had said this while there was a vote in the Army Museum, the ex-British Army officers, about what is the toughest battle they have fought. during the two world wars. There was a voting, and when the results of the voting came out, you saw the maximum vote had been given to the Kohima battle of 1944. Maximum votes were cast for this battle only, which was even more than the Battle of Waterloo and the Battle of Normandy. Many British were surprised. The journalists were surprised to see this, but particularly the persons who voted for this particular Kohima war. They were treated as the War of the Nagaland and Kohima War. They said that if the war would not have been won by the Allied forces under the command of General Slim, it would have been impossible for the British Indian Army or the British Army and the Allied forces to recapture the Asian territory of the Southeast Asia and the Middle Asia captured by Japan. As you all know, during the Second World War, Japanese had started capturing after the defeat, after the major victory at the Pearl Harbor. They started proceeding along with Southeast Asia, and the British force were in the offensive. They were retreating. The Japanese army was proceeding. Now, in the same time, Netaji, at that particular time, with the historic submarine journey from Kiev to Sumatra, with a change from the German U-boat to the Japanese U-boat at Madagascar, arrived in Tokyo. And in Tokyo, along with Rashbihari Bose, another revolutionary of renowned fame, they sat down with the Japanese government, and there were few agreements signed and documented. Now, what were those agreements? Firstly, Rashbihari Bose told Netaji to take care and rebuild the Indian National Army, because Mohan Singh, Captain Mohan Singh, was by that time arrested by the Japanese because of his arrogancy. And before he was imprisoned by the Japanese, he gave an order of disbanding the Indian National Army. But that was not the wish of Sri Rashbihari Bose. So he and the leaders of the Indian Independence League at that time, they urged Subhash Chandra Bose to take over the Indian National Army. And accordingly, on the 1943, in Singapore, in July, in a Cathay Cinema Hall, Rashbihari Bose, in a huge meeting, handed over the entire responsibility of the Indian National Army to Subhash Chandra Bose. Thus, a new leader was born in the Eastern Horizon, and internationally and throughout Asia, Subhash Chandra Bose was renamed as Netaji. Of course, some of his colleagues in Germany used to call him Netaji, but that was within themselves. But here, the soldiers in general and the uh, people of Southeast East Asia in general started regarding him by calling him Netaji. Now, after the formation, after taking over the reins of Indian National Army, which was also named as Azad Hind Fauj, Netaji went a step forward to form the Provisional Government of Free India in Exile, under which he started rebuilding the Azad Hind Fauj. There were mainly 4 brigades: Gandhi Brigade, Nehru Brigade, Azad Brigade, and Subhas Brigade. And as Netaji had started in Germany, here also he started rebuilding the secret service of the INA, the intelligence wing of the INA. And the major secret service brigade in the INA was the Bahadur Brigade, which was led by Colonel Shaukat Ali Malik. Now, the background of the INA, this Bahadur Brigade, was that we all know that in a place called Penang in Malaya, there was a training center of the intelligence branch of secret service of the INA. But Bahadur Brigade, slowly and slowly it started swelling. It had many recruits. So it was considered as a brigade, and the cabinet of the Provisional Government of Azad Hind and the Supreme Commander of INA, Netaji himself, he entrusted 2 duties for the Bahadur Brigade. One was the usual secret service, and another one which was entrusted to Bahadur Brigade was, that is, the guerrilla warfare. Because in the area with which they were fighting, like in Burmese jungle, in Arakan forests, there were deep forests, hills and hillocks. The place very much ideal for guerrilla warfare. Therefore, when INA was proceeding, there was from Burma, actually eventually from Russia, from Singapore, the headquarters of INA was transferred to Burma. And as we all know, the Burmese National Army leader, General Aung San, was a very good friend of Netaji. And Netaji also showed respect for the Aung San's Burmese National Army, who were fighting for the liberation of Burma. And they also wanted a total independence for Burma. Now Myanmar, of course. Like Netaji wanted to have total independence or Purna Swaraj for India, that is, political independence, social independence, and economic independence. And he always insisted that freedom should be snatched. freedom doesn't come by asking or by begging. This was the major difference in the thought process and the working process of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and the Congress led by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Now, why I was saying that this is a historic day? Because as you know, 14th April was not the first day when the national flag was hoisted on the free soil of India. Actually, it was 30th December 1943. Netaji himself went to Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and there at the Gymkhana ground in Andamans, he hoisted the national flag and named the two islands, Andaman as Shahid Deep and Nicobar as Swaraj Deep. How does this happen? We have to be a little elaborate over here. As I said, the meeting in the Imperial Hotel, there were certain agreements. What were these agreements? That Japan will help the Indian National Army or Azad Hind Force with arms and munitions and food supply in the battlefront wherever it is possible. And in return, and also, not in return, but also, whenever any territory of the Indian soil is captured by the joint operation of the Japanese Army and the Indian National Army, that particular territory will be immediately handed over to the provisional government of Azad Hind or to the INA. So likewise, on the 5th and 6th of December 1943, in the meeting of the Greater East Asia Conference, where Netaji represented the Asian countries as the Prime Minister of the Provisional Government of Azad Hind in exile, General Tojo, Prime Minister of Japan, he announced that as per the agreement we have had with Rashbihari Bose and Chandra Bose, that is Subhash Chandra Bose, we are handing over the territory of Andaman and Nicobar Island to the provisional government of Azad Hind in exile, which was being captured by Japanese in 1942. So that was the first time when the national flag was first hoisted on a free Indian territory. But to me, it is my personal thing. Viewers will judge. The hoisting of the national flag at Moirang on the 14th of April 1944 was much more significant because the Indian National Army, along with the Japanese army, they crossed the Burma border, the Indo-Burma border, entered the Indian territory, marched up to Moirang, forced the British army to retreat. And there was some African army also along with that, because the Allied forces were there. They forced the army to retreat and occupied Moirang that is half of Manipur and half of Nagaland, and hoisted the national flag there. So
It
they
was a
earned,
day we achieved.
that was the achievement of the Indian National Army by
Absolutely.
winning that particular territory by fighting against the allied forces. That is more significant as far to my
It was
personal view.
earned by our blood and
Exactly.
sweat.
And after that was occupied, now what happened? The brigade of INA was advancing. Probably it was the Nehru Brigade. And as we know that the Bahadur Brigade, which was having its guerrilla warfare also, and it was one of the major secret service of the INA, they were also advancing from other end. So when they reached, almost they reached simultaneously there, and the senior-most officer present there was Colonel Shaukat Ali Malik of Bahadur Brigade. And he was given the responsibility to hoist the national flag. Now, what was the flag which was hoisted? It was definitely tricolor. But as we know that the provisional government of Azad Hind flag was a tricolor with a springing tiger in between. That was not hoisted. Why? There was a major decision in the cabinet of the provisional government of Azad Hind. In 1942, Quit India movement had taken place. Netaji was at that time in Germany. And from Azad Hind Radio Berlin, he urged every Indian to participate in the Quit India movement. Because that, he thought, that was a positive thinking on the part of the Congress. And that is why, after the Quit India movement, although it did not last for more than 7 months, but the flag which was used in the Quit India movement, that was the tricolor with the charkha in the middle. That became more popular amongst the Indians. So while in the independent Indian territory, it was decided by the cabinet of the provisional government of Azad Hind in exile not to hoist their own flag, but to hoist the tricolor along with charkha, which is more known to the Indians. That is why this flag was hoisted in Moirang also, as it was hoisted before in Andamans. So this was the main reason that this flag was hoisted. And this territory in the northeast region of India was under the occupation of the provisional government of Azad Hind for more than 3 months. And the war which was there between the Allied forces under the leadership of General Slim and the INA, as I said, to the British Army officers, majority of them, they thought it was the toughest battle fought by them during the 2 world wars. Such respect was given. Although let me tell you one thing, the name of Indian National Army was not taken there. It was the Kohima War they mentioned, and they mentioned the war against the Japanese. But they knew very well that the Japanese were aided by the Indian National Army led by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. But they never mentioned it. They never mentioned it because they probably thought that if they give Indian National Army its due respect, there may be a difficulty in coming to an understanding with the Congress leaders. This is my assumption. Let the historians find out what is the true fact. But the fact is that the name of the Indian National Army was not taken. But the fact was about 26,000 of the 70,000 Indian National Army, they were martyred in that war. They became shaheed. They died for the cause of the liberation of the motherland. It was 45% of the total army, Indian National Army, which is a record in the history of any army, history of any battle. In no battle whatsoever till now, 45% of an army is dead or martyred in that particular war. In one war only, one war of independence. So, however people try to hide the facts, the fact is that this was, according to the British journalists, this was the last fight by the Indians towards building a new India. And this fight was the Battle of Nagaland and Battle of Manipur. It lasted for 3.5 months. But ultimately what happened? The rains of the northeast had brought landslides, and the army could not get sufficient amount of supplies of food and arms and ammunitions. Moreover, the Japanese Air Force in a later stage had to be withdrawn and taken to the Indian Ocean because one of the partners of the Allied forces, the Australian Army, they have started an onslaught on the Indian Ocean. And in order to defend that, the Japanese Air Force and the Japanese Naval Force were totally engaged there to save the other territories. Secondly, what we hear now is that there was certain wrong information given to Netaji by the Japanese generals there available at that time in the northeastern region. Because the Japanese were overconfident. Now, Netaji time and again insisted that we should go and capture Dimapur. But the Japanese forces, along with INA, they somehow or the other, strangely enough, they did not proceed to Dimapur, and they were just at the outskirts of Kohima, and they stayed there. Now we find, now the historians, some of the historians now, they find that had the Japanese and the INA had captured Dimapur, then the plains of Brahmaputra would have been more accessible to them to proceed on. The entire force, 4 brigades of the INA was present at Rangoon at that time. And one more very viable territory which was not used by INA was the Bangladesh territory from Chittagong onwards. That was not used, totally unused. Now, all this happened because the Japanese feedback to the Rangoon headquarters of INA was either insufficient or the feedback never came for several days. For several days, because the Japanese, the best reason known to them, were keeping quiet and engaging themselves in the battle.
Has anything went wrong? I think we have lost the connection with Abhijit uncle. Adrija? Adrija?
Yes.
I think we have lost the connection with Abhijit uncle, right?
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I think the connection is lost. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wait. He's here. He has again joined.
Thank God.
Oh, gone. Wait, he will again come. He's trying.
Yes, there is some network issues, I think. Sorry.
I will just check.
We have lost the connection at a very important point. As Abhijit uncle was also telling that the hoisting of Indian flag in on the Indian soil on the Moirang Day is much more important than the hoisting of Indian flag on 30th December by Netaji himself, because the Indian National Army, the martyrs of the battle, and the soldiers who fought the battle, they earned this day with their sweat and blood. And another thing we should here remember, that in this battle, in this war, the Azad Hind Fauj have fought for Indian liberation. At that time, Azad Hind Fauj was the smallest and the youngest army of the world, and that was fighting against the Allied force, which has probably the largest army in the world. So it was absolutely an war between the David and the Goliath, and INA proved its class. The soldiers proved their patriotism and their uh, wish to achieve the freedom for their own motherland. So the Moirang Day is one of the very important days of Indian history, and we should remember the martyrs, the soldiers, and all the lakhs of millions of Indians present in Southeast Asia at that time who joined, who got involved in Azad Hind Fauj, and who got ready to sacrifice everything, and they were ready to do anything possible to achieve the freedom of the motherland. And another thing, at the back of the mind, probably everyone knew that Azaddin Fauj is not going to win the war. It was not possible for them. There was no air support by I mean, there was no air force attached with Azaddin Fauj. It was absolutely dependent on the Japanese air force and all. But at the same time, we can't ignore the political impact that INA could create among the Indian soldiers, uh, those who were there in British Indian Army, which actually changed the course of history. Because after knowing the battle by Azad Hind Fauj, after knowing their bravery in this Manipur front, the rest of the soldiers in Indian British Indian Army, they actually started revolting. They actually started to uh, think about their own motherland, and obviously that that was the last nail in the coffin of British Empire. But obviously, even after this battle, if we see historically, British kept everything under wrap. The INA and the Azad Hind Fauj and their bravery, it was not. They tried to hide everything, and when in the latter part of 1944, the trial of the INS soldiers in Red Fort started. Then the perception given by British about these battles proved to be a lie, and that's how uh, the British Indian Army started revolting. And gradually, the naval mutiny, gradually, the mutiny in the police barrack of Jabalpur, and it all happened. And finally, British had to leave their most fertile colony of the world. And that actually gradually it led to the end of colony system throughout the Southeast Asia.
Can you hear me, Anushwa?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'll just finish it up in a few minutes because my phone is getting heated up. I don't know. So the
Oh, oh, oh,
automatic
okay.
interruption is there.
Adrija, is there any is there a problem with network again?
Again, network. I think because he got still.
Oh my God.
Disconnection.
So let us wait for Vijit uncle. And Adrija, are you there?
Yes.
So I think in the meantime we can discuss about our planning regarding this memorial series, right?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, we have planned this memorial series as at least one lecture per month, and obviously that will be on few selected dates which are really important in Netaji's life, and not only in Netaji's life but also in the Indian history. So,
Uh-huh.
just like today, we have selected Moirang Day to know the
Uh-huh.
real history of the battle. Uh, and in the next episode, we will hear about a real unsung and unnoticed hero of Indian freedom movement, Sri Rajbihari Bose. 25th May, it is a birthday of Rajbihari Bose, and so we will have a very special guest with us on 25th of May, and we will discuss about the life of Rajbihari Bose. And I think I can say it very easily that Rajbihari Bose is one of the self-made revolutionary of world history. He lost his mother at the very tender age, and he was brought up by the sister of his stepmother, and even his father was not there during his I mean childhood days, and he made himself by himself only. He so and starting a life, I mean, as just a lab assistant in Forest Research Institute in Dehradun, and during that time only he planned. Uh, the attack on the Viceroy in 1912, uh, and then gradually, forming the Indian National League in Japan. And the life in Japan by Rajbihari Bose was, it was quite a known history to us, but his life in India is very much unknown to the Indian people. It is a very much unknown name of in Indian history. So, in next episode of our memorial series, we will discuss about the life of Sri Rajbihari Bose, and I think still we are facing some network issues with Vijit uncle.
He I think his phone again went off because he has not messaged also.
Absolutely. So will we continue on 16th with this Vartalap?
Yes, we can. Half means where we have reached the next till then we can
Exactly.
just finish it. Whatever is pending. We all
Yes,
know that
yes.
nothing happens easily with us. So
No problem. That's not a problem. It
no,
was
I just remembered the Swamiji's saying where he said when you get hindrances, you know you're on the right track.
absolutely. So that's not a problem at all. We can hear it on. I think day
Yes,
after tomorrow will be the right day because tomorrow I think uncle will also be busy,
yes,
and
yes.
you will also be busy a little bit. So I think it will be better to stop here today to conclude the session, and we are concluding today's session with
Ramesh Moshe is
wishing.
here. I don't know how long he will be able to
Oh, great,
talk.
great, great.
Uh, no, I'm sorry. There was some technical problem. Well,
No,
I'll
no, it's
finish it up.
absolutely okay. Absolutely.
Now, I've said that after the fierce battle, the INA and the Japanese, they started retreating. There was a defeat at Loth, and INA very reluctantly it retreated because they had the orders from Rangoon, from the headquarters. They did not want to retreat, but they had to follow the retreat. But there was there was a small INA platoon which was there under the leadership of Colonel Gurbakh Singh Dhillon. And the General Slim army of around 20,000 soldiers they were advancing. Now, the soldiers were disheartened. They said, "What are we going to do, sir?" They asked. So the major said that we have got two options. Gurbakh Singh Dhillon said, Colonel Gurbakh Singh Dhillon, he said, we have got two options. Either we surrender ourselves or we fight. Because he had one thing in mind. At that time, the rest of the Indian National Army brigades, including Rani Jhansi Regiment and Netaji himself, they were in Rangoon. So they had to retreat also to go to a safer place. And for their retreat, when the entire Rani Jhansi Regiment was retreating, they needed some time. And this particular time, Colonel Gurbakh Singh Dhillon wanted to keep the British Army and the Allied forces in check for a few days or a few weeks to enable them, the INA and Netaji himself, along with the Rani Jhansi Regiment, to retreat through the jungles of Burma. So we should not forget one thing, that under the leadership of Colonel Gurbakh Singh Dhillon, only 1,200 Azadi Sipais, the Indian Sipais of the Nehru Brigade, they fought so gallantly that they did not allow the army led by General Slim to cross the Irrawaddy River for 14 days. Now, this 14 days was sufficient enough for Netaji and all the Ranis of the Rani Jhansi regiment to go to a safe place, and that enabled the Rani Jhansi regiment's escape and not letting them getting captured in the hands of the British Army or the Allied forces, and it gave sufficient time for Netaji to go to an unknown place where the British would not capture him. And before leaving Singapore, we know Netaji had laid the foundation stone at the seashore of the martyred 26,000 soldiers of INA. And by the time the Allied forces and the British Army, under the leadership of Louis Earl Mountbatten, arrived in Singapore, they had every hope of capturing Bose, but they could not find him. So what was the resultant factor we saw? That
The destruction of War Memorial.
Mountbatten ordered the soldiers to use dynamite and blow up the war memorial of the Indian National Army martyred personnel. This uncivilized
Absolutely.
work done by the civilized British will go down to the history as one of the shameful acts by an army who were victorious in the World War II. But unfortunately, these histories which we have discussed so long, which I have told you, is not documented in the pages of history. So, my dear friends, today, on the 14th of April, let us take an oath that we will remember those martyred soldiers of INA, 26,000 of them. We will bow our heads for their memories. We will remember one thing, that today, actually, 14th of April, is our Independence Day. Let us not forget it. 15th August is the day of partition. But actually, 14th April is the day when we can call it as our Independence Day. But had not it been for this particular day, when the national flag was hoisted at Moirang, following the capture of one battalion of the Indian National Army, see, they surrendered of one battalion of Indian National Army, which followed the Red Fort trial. And through this trial, the countrymen came to know about the feats of INA. And there was a civil war-like situation in India itself, resulting in the naval mutiny, the police mutiny, and the lunch boycott by Air Force officers, which resulted in the British cabinet to decide it's time for them to leave India. So this was the last war of independence fought in the northeast sector of India, and 14th October should be considered as our real Independence Day. With this, my friends, Jai Hind to you all, and we hope one day the true history of Indian independence movement will be written, and we will be knowing more and more from our young historians about the feats of INA, about the war or the battle the INA fought under the leadership of our great liberator of India, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Jai Hind.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Jai Hind. And we will conclude today's session with wishing each and every free Indians a very happy Moirang Day and a very happy Independence Day. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Mhm.